The last 3 years of war have shown no mercy to either side. The bitter fighting continues across Europe over land, sea, and air, leaving behind mountains of casualties and many more broken souls. The United States till now had remained neutral, but the mounting economic pressure and the return of Germany to unrestricted submarine warfare finally awakes the sleeping giant. On April 6, 1917, the United States declares war on Germany. Within months of the declaration, the U.S. Army launched the first universal draft. And despite enduring segregation in their own country, over 360,000 African Americans enlist, eager to show their patriotism in hopes of returning home as heroes. James is one of these men.
Dear Brother James, I hope this letter finds you well and that working at the docks is not too backbreaking. It's good to receive news from you and from home. Keeps my mind off of the war. We wallow in the trenches, in the mud among the rats and the dead bodies, afraid that if we stand tall, we might catch a bullet. But if you take anything from my letter, I want it to be this. Do whatever you can to stay away from this madness. You followed me everywhere when we were kids. But please, don't follow me here, James. There is nothing here but misery and death. Be safe and stay home. Freddie.
Token! Draggy!
Dear Freddie, it's good to hear from you. Sorry to disappoint, but it looks like I'm following you around again. I've already enlisted with the 15th New York National Guard Regiment, or the old 15th, as they call us. We're done with our training and on our way to the front. We'll sail from New York to France. We're on our way to help you win the war. But don't you worry about me. I can take care of myself just fine. Your little brother, James.
April 9th, 1917, VII Ridge. This geographic stronghold, held by the Germans since the early days of the war, remained impenetrable. In the latest attempt to break through the German defenses, ground forces were ordered to team up with the British Royal Flying Corps. Before launching the attack, the soldiers were given a moment to write to their loved ones.
Aim.
Interrupted by George's unconventional landing, Freddie soon learned that his unit was going to take part in the operation and be paired up with the peculiar British pilot, now grounded and without a plane to fly.
10 hot! Oh! Ready?
Despite his haphazard flying, George managed to pinpoint the enemy's location. He relayed the information to Freddie, who then launched the strike on the enemy cannons. But despite the triumph of reclaiming VII Ridge after 3 long years, their victory was marred by the dead bodies strewn across the hillside. While Europe was torn apart by war, the U.S. had begun a massive mobilization in what many believed could permanently change the tide of the war. Aboard the USS Pocahontas was a racially segregated unit, the Old 15th, made up almost entirely of African American soldiers. These men were sailing to Europe, ready to put their lives on the line, to prove their love for a country that didn't always love them back.
Dear Freddie, we're on our way to France. This is our first night at sea. But don't worry, me and the boys are ready. Speaking of the fellas, I lucked out and I'm getting on good with a fine bunch of them. There's Fidgety Lang Edwards, who never puts down his drumsticks. Jack Harris, our medic from Chicago. Joey Brass is from Harlem and plays a mean banjo. And Chef Caldwell is always cooking up stuff for us. We just have to make sure to get served before B.B. Johnson. Great guy, but he could really put it away. Well, I gotta go now. Practice is about to start, and there's no jazz band without a clarinet. Stay safe. We'll see each other soon. Your brother, James.
As the Pocahontas continued to cross the Atlantic, their encounter with the German U-boat 155 brought them ever closer to the fight. Entering the battlegrounds of the war, their ship was spotted by Ernst. May 31st, 1916. On land, the conflict was bogged down in trench warfare. Neither the Allies nor the Central Powers were able to make significant gains. At sea, Allied forces dominated Germany with a crippling blockade. Determined to stay away from the war, Ernst escaped to the solitude offered by the depths of the sea. It was here, below the surface, that he scavenged, hoping to eke out a living. As his boat settled on the seabed, Ernst began to come to terms with the war's inevitable, all-consuming power. Defeated and alone, he could feel the Jutland waters' cold embrace tightening around him. Stranded for hours in the aftermath of the Battle of Jutland, Ernst was starting to feel his grip slip away. But when the merchant sailors aboard the submarine, the Germania, came to his aid, they not only saved Ernst's life, they also took him in as one of their own. In them, Ernst found kindred spirits and instantly felt right at home. 1916. The U.S. had remained neutral, allowing for business as usual. Despite trade blockades, the few merchant submersibles in existence, like the Germania, were still able to trade with them. James, who was working the Baltimore docks at the time, was surprised to see the submarine pull into port.
Fighter.
Hey. Huh?
No! Wait this! You kick. Holiday Musiker.
Yes.
The Germania's voyage was a commercial success, and her crew returned eager for their next trade. But their triumphant return was interrupted by the German Imperial Navy. As the sole German national aboard, Ernst was conscripted to fight. The submarine, too. By decree of the Kaiser, the Germania was henceforth ordered to hunt convoys in the Atlantic. Ernst was faced with a grim choice: torpedo the Pocahontas and kill his friend, or disobey a superior's direct order and risk being put to death. He had chosen to save his friend, but knew it would only be a matter of time before he was ordered to kill again. (1917) St. Manihold Hospital. Doctors and nurses alike tried in earnest to patch up swarms of broken bodies and wounded psyches. Anna, the Belgian nurse, battled every day against the war to save soldiers. Sometimes Anna could heal the soldiers' ailments and put them on the path to recovery. Other times, it was a matter of alleviating their pain and merely postponing the inevitable. On this day, a rare ray of hope pierced the gloom of the hospital grounds. Finally, with the arrival of new medical equipment, technological progress would be used to help the wounded of war instead of producing them. Surprised to see her dear friend again, Anna handled each of the wounded soldiers with care. She couldn't wait to speak with Freddie and catch up on old times. Reunited, Anna and Freddie both took solace in the bonds of friendship. Hearing the bombs fall, Anna knew they had struck the heart of a populated civilian area.
Anna!
Always quick to act, she drove off to help the wounded. Seeing a Zeppelin creep toward the bombed factory, Freddy feared the worst for Anna. He hopped on his motorbike and raced to join her. Freddy arrived just in time to see Anna emerging from the debris. She had once again put her life on the line to save others. December 27th, 1917, the Pocahontas arrived in Brest, France, to a celebratory welcome. Unknown to the Old 15th, the decision had already been made to use them only for combat service support. They were not to see battle. Desperate for soldiers to fight, the French pushed hard for the newly arrived 15th to join them on the battlefield. They were eventually successful. The old 15th would fight under the French banner and be renamed the 369th Infantry Regiment. The Americans were once again outfitted as soldiers should be, then paired up with a French counterpart. They would now all fight together.
Hi. Freddy?
Huh? You know Freddy?
Yeah.
For James and Freddy, the long-awaited reunion was a powerful reminder that neither time nor distance can erode the extraordinary bond of brotherhood. The general mood among the 369th Infantry was one of camaraderie and shared purpose. Anna, joining them for a last meal before heading back to Vimy, was finding it particularly hard to say goodbye to Freddy. But their renewed optimism was soon dashed. By nightfall, everyone in the 369th would be reminded of the perils this war had in store for them. Arriving in Vimy, Anna was now ready to begin her new assignment, training British medics. Meanwhile, George was developing photos taken during his reconnaissance missions. But tonight, the quiet peace of the dark room was broken by a barking Walt. As George headed back toward Allied lines, he snapped a photo of the massive movement of enemy troops and weapons. Upon landing, George was placed under arrest on suspicion of espionage. Fortunately, he was able to back up his story with proof. Spring 1918. With the Brest-Litovsk peace treaty signed, German fighting on the Eastern Front came to an end, freeing up troops for advancement to the Western Front. A series of offensives were launched, pushing the Allied lines to the breaking point. The last of these offensives was launched near Saint-Menehould. For James and the 369th, the long-awaited opportunity to prove themselves had finally come.
Let's go! Ready? Come on!
Even though they had managed to hold the position, the 369th had paid a heavy price. Before leaving to care for the wounded, Anna made sure to give James and Freddie a long embrace, hoping this would not be their last. After a dreadful night fighting to stay alive, James and Freddie were blinded by the camera flash. Impressed by the troops' accomplishments, the American press gave them the nickname Harlem Hellfighters. Their brand of music was all the rage, earning them an invitation to perform in Paris.